All right, so I'm going to read something to you, and it's basically going to be talking about cellular respiration. And before I go into it, I'm going to read what it's like scientifically talking about, but then I'll talk about my own personal perspective on it, because there's always a good way to look at things from different perspectives. But cellular respiration, when you see the word cellular, you see the word cell in there. When you talk about, Morpheus telling Neo, you're nothing but a battery, Neo. And it's basically, you look at cells. Cells could be a battery, blood cells. We have blood cells in our system, okay? And you're nothing but a blood cell here. In this big-ass body, you're nothing but a cell. Cell could be a battery. Cell could be a blood cell. I mean, that's what you are, as within, so without, okay? Look at how everything functions from the internal point of view to the external, and it just basically all starts to connect dots for you. But there's something called cellular respiration, and it's all possible by just breathing. You know what I'm saying? Where I made the example in the video yesterday where I'm talking about, the relationship between the trees and people. You breathe out carbon dioxide and you breathe in oxygen. There's a nice little exchange going on there. When you breathe in air, okay, or you eat food, okay, there's something called cellular respiration, which I'll read the definition of it is and the function, and then I'm going to talk about the reason why I'm even making this video. So cellular respiration requires oxygen, which is breathed in and creates carbon dioxide. When you breathe in, you take in the oxygen your cells need for cellular respiration. When you breathe out, you get rid of carbon dioxide that your cells produce during cellular respiration. Respiration is often referred to as breathing, but it can also mean cellular respiration, which is the main reason why breathing is important. Cells require oxygen from the air to extract energy from glucose through respiration, which produces carbon dioxide and waste products. Okay? Now, let's read this part right here. Okay? The process of cell catabolism, in which cells turn food into usable energy in the form of ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. That's a primary source of fuel for the muscles. In this process, glucose, which is a simple sugar, is broken down in the presence of molecular oxygen into 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, and much of the energy release is preserved by turning ADP, which is adenosine diphosphate, and free phosphate into adenosine triphosphate. Okay? Now, I'm going to talk about this part right here. All right. Just make sure I find this real quickly. I hate to keep you waiting, but then again, no, I don't. Okay, now check this out. Factors that affect cellular respiration. Right now, you're probably not running or jumping around, but you're still using energy. Everything we do, even something passive like sleeping, requires energy. So where do we get that energy? If you're thinking food, you're on the right track, but that food has to go through a lot before we can extract the energy. Now, why is that? Like I said yesterday, man, I mean, it's just basically when you're eating life force, there's a difference between life force and nutrition, and basically what really nutrition really is, which is basically a mental state. But then again, the body, when you eat certain food, you're told that there's certain things that are good for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good. This is good for your eyes. This is good for your hair, for your skin, for your nails. This is good for your bones, whatever it may be, right? But the body has to process it, break it down, and then utilize that as usable, for whatever respective part of the body it was told that it was good for. But then there's certain things that have a chemical laced in them, which is basically making it very hard for the body to have to break it down or process it. Now, we can look at that as meat, but meat, we don't have to look at it from the complexity of the molecules the body has to pull apart to, use, but is basically even the emotional part of it. Look at it, the energetic part of it. The emotions is something that it's very hard for the body to have to process. You know what I'm saying? That's why sometimes certain foods may put you in certain moods, or certain moods you feel may give you an urge to eat that. It's because it's basically a back and forth type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget, when you eat something, it's not you are what you eat only. It's what you eat becomes you too. So when you feel like you have an urge to eat something, look at the emotional state of being you're in as well. Notice how when a woman breaks up with a guy or something, they become emotional eaters, or people start to abuse substances, okay, but food and drug is in the same category anyway for that reason, you know what I'm saying? And there's certain things that people can't even get rid of their diet. Like if you have diabetes, one of the main things that you should, eliminate from your diet is meat. You know what I'm saying? Until the symptoms subside. But no, you say that, I can't get rid of meat, man. Where am I going to get my protein from? You know what I'm saying? There's always like that real deep indoctrination behind it. But when you ask a person, how do you think you got the diabetes? The first thing they said is, I ate a lot of sugars or pastas or refined sugars and whatnot. And that's not even the case. You get it from a lot of animal protein or a lot of animal meat. And I'm talking about like meat, chicken, and fish, not just meat. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is that it takes 2 days for it to fully process through your system. It's not just the meat, but the fish as well. You get what I'm saying? So anyway, what is cellular respiration? Right now, you're probably not running around, jumping around, but okay, I already read that part. Your body digests, okay, so I read up to the part where it says that it takes a while for the body to utilize the energy from the food. So here's the next part. Your body digests the food and sends nutrients, particularly glucose, a simple sugar, through your bloodstream. Cells take up the glucose and break it apart, releasing energy in the process. This process is called cellular respiration, where cells break down glucose and capture energy as ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. Today, we're going to look at some factors that affect how quickly the process happens, and in turn, how much energy your cells can make. We'll examine the effects of temperature, glucose concentration, and oxygen concentration. So here there's going to be 3 sections. There's going to be one, which is basically going to be talking about temperature, which we could look at as the potential hydrogen in the body, or the pH, okay? And you know what I'm saying? Where we look at, for example, when something's too cold, things start to slow down. You know what I'm saying? Like these enzymes start to slow down. We look at it as where maybe the heat part of it is better, but when you heat things up to a certain degree, you're denaturing or killing off or breaking apart certain things. You know what I'm saying? So, hence, such as like when we take in supplemental sources of protein, keep in mind that this protein, for it to have gone through the process to actually become a supplement, it went through a heating process, which denatures the protein to some extent. That's why sometimes when you look at fuck is that protein? There's a protein where it's basically they promote it or market it as cold filtered, natured protein. Okay. To perform okay, so basically they're going to talk about temperature, they're going to talk about glucose concentration, okay, and they'll talk about and I'll link this in the description below so you can read it yourself. I'm not going to make this story time or whatnot, and it'll talk about the oxygen concentration of things. Now, breathing properly, okay, will actually aid in proper metabolism and in proper utilization as far as like what you get as far as energy from food, okay? When you breathe, okay, you're basically, let's say when you eat the food, all right? Let's say the cellular respiration part of it, all right? You got the glucose, all right? What you get from the foods, you get the glucose and you get the oxygen part of it. This converts into carbon dioxide and water. No different than what you breathe out. You breathe out the carbon dioxide, and you notice how it becomes humid. You breathe into a mirror. You notice how it gets humid in the mirror, right? When you breathe in, right, that same CO2, and you breathe in that same humidity is going into your lungs. You know what I'm saying? That's causing hypoxia, okay? The symptoms of hypoxia is shortness of breath, trouble breathing. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're having a respiratory problem, like a respiratory infection and whatnot. And all that is just the acidic environment you're creating when you are breathing in your own waste. No different than a baby having a pamper, you know what I'm saying? And you don't clean the shit, all right? Shit is acidic. What happens? It turns to burn the baby's butt. You know what I'm saying? So when you're breathing this stuff in, just think of it like you have a face diaper, okay? So that's why it's important to realize that these masks are causing the problem that you are basically afraid of. These developing symptoms, they're coming from what you are actually doing. It's not the actual problem that we have. Think of it like this, man. If you're here, and I'm going to talk about the cellular part, because you look at the word cellular part, you can look at cellular phone, you can look at a whole bunch of shit. But if you're sitting here right now, nothing is happening. I feel like right now, I feel an inner peace. I'm making a video, I feel happy. I'm good, okay? My battery's going to cut off, so if it cuts off, I'll just make another video. Now, real quickly, People may put out videos, this is going to happen, this and that's going to happen, and then all of a sudden you get anxiety, you start to doomsday prep, and then all of a sudden you sit there and now you're becoming a frequency match to that future, because that's what you are living your life as. Like me, for example, I garden because I garden for the love of it. I'm not gardening. I was gardening before this whole shit was a fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? But do it for the love of it. Everything that's outside of you is you pushed out. So let's say, for example, you start to find something of a passion. Through that passion, which I did it through gardening, you'll start to see that it connects so many things within you where you start to have inner knowings. But why? Because you're engaging in something that you are passionate about. You get into a flow-like state. You're not doing it where you're getting something out of it. What you're getting out of it is the inner knowing, and that's what you're getting out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like a natural thing that happens. No different than when you breathe, you get oxygen, you get that abundant element from the tree. You know what I'm saying? So you take care of the soil, right? No different than you taking care of this soil. You come from the soil, you die, you go back to the soil. You know what I'm saying? Man comes from the soil too. So real quickly, and hopefully before the phone cuts off, before my battery cuts off here, there's signals that happen. You have cells. There's a cellular reception. It's just like when you have a cellular phone and you go into a building that has bad reception, okay? That's because there's an obstruction where it's blocking the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is happening, you don't see it, but you believe in it, right? But you got to believe what's in yourself. There's signals from the brain to the testicles to produce free testosterone. So think about this. If you have obstruction in your system, then that's a cellular reception problem that you have within you. Yeah, all the organs are connected, but the cells, there's a communication that's happening that's wireless. You get what I'm saying? So no different than you not having reception on the phone. When you're in a building that has no reception, you can't even connect to your house, to your own immediate family members in your house. But when you go outside, you can connect to even other countries, right? But you see, when you dial on a cellular phone, you're dialing it through a phone number. When you're dialing, let's say we have our own frequencies, we're supposed to be able to connect energetically, telepathically. This is the natural way to connect. You know what I'm saying? And if you feel like you don't have connection with people outside of you, think about how much of a connection you have within you. If you could connect to people outside of you, that means you have a good connection within you on a cellular level. And that requires oxygen, because it's not air you're breathing, Neil, right? So it's not the air that you breathe, it's the information in the air. The oxygen is the prana in the air. The information in the air is what matters. So that's why when you breathe in that air, you take the fucking face diaper off. Now you can all of a sudden connect all this functions within you, okay? And eating properly and breathing properly is all going to aid that. And if you're able to have an understanding of how all this works and have a cellular connection within you, to have a connection between all the different parts of your body, you'll start to have better connections with people outside of you too. Because everything outside of you is you pushed out. Like I said, as within, so without. So have the proper oxygen, breathe in the air, okay? Breathe in. First of all, you should not have any problems getting any type of, but it's all by biology of belief. If you're told of a certain reality and you get anxious and you react to it a certain way, you're becoming a frequency match to it. But there's also chemicals released within you that's giving a signal to all your cells in your body, telling you that we're prepping for something. So it's going to put you in fight or flight. It's going to restrict your breathing, because that's what stress and anxiety and fear does. It starts to restrict you. You start becoming a shallow breather. Not only that, but you have a face mask on, further creating a problem. So that's why I said, take the face diaper off, live your life to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? And know that this is a temporary experience. This is not the real. Wake up from within you. What's woke in you? And you will start to wake up everything else outside of you. You get what I'm saying? It's a beautiful feeling when you can start to grow your own things also. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing like the feeling of growing something and eating it from your own yard. And I'm not saying everybody should do what I'm doing. It's as far as gardening, find a passion, find something that you love, and it's going to start to connect dots outside of you. You're going to start to perceive things differently. And then when you start to see things as far as like how it's shown to you as information on a phone or Google or whatnot, you'll have your own perception as to how it is that is being told to you. You're not going to look at it literal. No different than you reading a Bible or looking at religious text and taking it literal. It's actually an allegory to something else. You get what I'm saying? When you start to have that cellular function, you start to turn your DNA on, start to turn on the dormant parts of you within you, then you'll start to have a better connection outside of you. The better the connection within you, the better connection outside of you, the better the connection, the more woke is what we're going to call it, the awareness. The light bulb goes up. You get turned on. You know what I'm saying? On a cellular level. The reception is clear. None of your cells are